Welcome to the Genius Way Show with your host, Ben Hummell. The aim of this show is to provide education, encouragement, and insights for people who are on their own personal development journeys. As a psychotherapist, teacher, author, and creator of the Genius Way process, Ben will focus on identifying common challenges to living a purposeful life, and will share valuable psychological and spiritual tools to help you make healthy and empowering life changes. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hey friends, welcome to the Genius Way Show. I'm your host, Ben Hummell. It's great to be with you here again this week as we talk about everything pertaining to personal development and the expression of your individual genius. Okay, so today we're going to talk about authenticity. And I know that word has been kind of thrown around a lot, and it's easy to say, and it's easy to get caught in an idea of what authenticity is, but it's an actual thing. You have an authentic self. There is an authentic you, and instead of trying to contrive it, how we need to locate it and get back to it is to kind of deeply listen, as we always talk about. I always talk about this on the show. We deeply listen to what's already there. So, of course, I'm going to say that your authentic self is linked directly to your genius, and I'll tell you why. So the genius is the expressive self that was put into place by existence, basically. All right. And so our authentic self is an emanation of existence. I know it's a big idea, but think about it this way. If there is a creative force that is expressing all of these things that we see, the trees, the material for the houses, the hills, if there is that creative impulse, what is the raw material that creative impulse has to create things? It must be itself, right? It creates things out of itself. That's the materials that it has. And so we as humans are part of this existential collection of expressions. And so we are that. We're an emanation, like a ray of light from the sun. We are that. We're made of that, right? And so the tragedy is that most of us run around not knowing that we're that. I mean, just think about it this way. Let's pan all the way back. We are living on a big ball of dirt and rocks and water spinning around in the universe through some force that's like basically floating on nothing in an apparent infinite physical universe. Okay? So we don't understand that. We don't understand it. No matter how many theories we have, we really don't know. And so we're living our lives in all this kind of pretty much chaos of our personal lives without that one basic question being answered. Like, how is this possible? I mean, most people don't take the time to even look at that. It's like, okay, how is it even possible that we're here? That there's the right amount of oxygen and heat and warmth and cool. It's insane, right? The other thing is, when you look at it that way and you kind of bring it down to the microcosm of ourselves, we never ask, how did we get here? What are we made of? What is our job here? What are we supposed to be doing? And I'm saying that when you self-reflect, when you use the proper kind of tools and you kind of look at things in a very, very close way, you're going to find that as yourself, as this expressive self, which is your genius, you have certain things that you in particular are supposed to be expressing. And by supposed to be, I don't mean in some moralistic way. I mean, it's in your existential DNA. And that's why let's say you're a hairdresser and you really enjoy that instead of being an astronaut, or you like potatoes instead of asparagus. There's all kinds of things that make us unique. And my point here with the genius way is that those unique aspects are important. They're important, they're essential, and they're not for nothing. And part of our task as a human is to find what those things are that make us unique and express them outwardly. Okay? So that is how I'm positioning this talk about the authentic self. It's around how we have a genius, and the genius has a point of being here. There's a purpose to it. Okay? And the purpose might not be, I'm going to invent, I'm going to cure cancer. It doesn't have to be that banal. That'd be great if we could do it, but it's not about that. The purpose is in the everyday expression of your authenticity, right? Because when you're expressing from your authentic self, the things that you were born with, the things that are in your existential DNA, you're bringing that level of expression out into the world. And so what would be the alternative? The alternative is being an inauthentic self, which means I'm identified only with the things that have happened to me and my reaction to them. All of my traumas, all of my fears, all of my, good and bad experiences and how I dealt with them psychologically, that's what I'm expressing myself as, okay? And that's one little aspect of us, but that's not the authentic aspect. That's kind of like an accidental aspect, that psychological part. Deeper than that is our identity that's connected directly to existence, that is not the result of a bunch of experiences that we've had, but is kind of at the level of our existential marrow, like what's really, really deeply inside of us that has nothing to do with what has happened to us. That famous quote by Carl Jung, I am not what has happened to me. I'm what I choose to become. Okay. So that's a beautiful quote. And it kind of means that, in other words, I'm not just a result of my life experiences or my childhood experiences. And that's what the authenticity that I'm pointing to is indicating. That's what I'm indicating by that, rather. Okay. So think about it this way. Everyone here has been born with this authentic self. Before we learn to talk, before we learn to identify with anything in our family or wherever we grew up, or the town we grew up in, the state, the country, anything, the time of history that we grew up in, there's an authentic self that is basically in seed form that we're born with. And it's our job to kind of find that seed, and instead of just like leaving it there and say, hey, there's a nice seed, that's cool, I'm just going to keep it there on a shelf, to be able to literally let that seed germinate in some kind of conducive environment, right? So the Genius Way process that I've created is that germination framework where your genius can start to grow and sprout, and your authentic self can be seen. Okay. And so we'll talk about that a little bit later, but that's kind of the import of all of these shows that I do, is to give you a way to kind of germinate and let your genius aspect of yourself, your authentic self, grow. That's what it's about. Okay. So the seed is there in seed form. And let's say it's an authentic seed. The seed is real. There are qualities to this seed that are going to allow it to grow into what its potential is, right? And the seed that I have in me, the potential that I have in me, is different than what is in you. And they're both unique, and they are both valuable for the world in which we find ourselves in. It's like we've been sent kind of with a message to deliver. And we don't know how, when we express our message, which is our authentic self, our authenticity, we don't know how that's going to affect the world around us, but it does. And if it's coming directly from our existential identity, it will affect the world in a good way. It's what's needed because we are being that authentic part of ourselves. We have located it. We're giving it a place to grow and to express, and then it comes out and affects the world around us, right? Just like today, listening to this, my hope is that this is impacting you in some small way so that you can see this in yourself and in turn re-express it in your authentic way. What's authentic for you, what's real for you, what's right for you. Okay, so let's take a short break. We're going to look at this little video about this subject. When we come back, we're going to talk about what feels important about letting the seed of personal authenticity express itself and to be kind of out in the world. Okay, I'll see you on the other side.
If you've ever felt like you don't fit in, it's because you're meant to stand out. You are a unique creation, a product of existence itself. There has never been, and there will never be, another you. Your authentic self has a one-of-a-kind contribution to make to this world. When you embrace who you truly are, you unlock a powerful connection to existence. You see, being true to yourself isn't just about self-expression. It's your duty, your job, to bring your unique light into the world. No one else can do it for you. Think about it. Every time you hide your true self, the world misses out on something only you can offer. Your perspective, your talents, your quirks, they all matter. They're all pieces of the puzzle that makes life beautiful. So, stop trying to blend in. Start standing out. Embrace your quirks, celebrate your strengths and even your flaws, because the world needs your authenticity. Remember, you are a masterpiece in progress and your journey is uniquely yours. By being you, you inspire others to do the same. So, go ahead. Be you. The world is waiting for your authentic touch. Thank you for watching. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Stay true, stay you, and together, we'll make the world a brighter place.
So, our authentic self, our authenticity, is given to us in seed form when we're born. Okay, it's just a seed, and like I said many times before, a seed is at once a complete thing. It's a seed. It's something, right? But the potential in the seed needs to go through a different process in order to see what the seed could possibly grow into. And so it's the same thing with what we're given in our genius self, our existential DNA. It doesn't have to be expressed. Like the seed, we don't need to put the seed in the ground because it's like, oh, I have a seed. This is a very nice seed. Great. But if you feel a longing, and if you're lucky enough to feel how your seed of expression needs to be out in the world, if you can feel that, it's like this feeling of like, it's a little bit of dissatisfaction, even if your life is good. It's a little bit of yearning for something more, right? And if you can use that, you're going to find out that the seed of your identity, your authenticity, is calling you. It's bugging you. It's giving you one of these, right? It's like, hey, wake up. Hey, come on now. We got something more to express. And if you're lucky enough to feel that, you're going to try to find a way to express that thing. Okay. So that's like a little nudge from existence. Like, you have something to say here. There's something that needs to be said with your life, right? And since it comes from existence, it is something that the rest of existence needs, right? Does that make sense? So there is, when you allow that seed to be planted for the second journey, the first journey of the seed is like, okay, here it is. We're here. We're in like this form here, walking around in kind of like a confusing life. I don't know what's going on. I don't know about the infinite universe. I don't know how I got here or what I'm supposed to do, right? But there is, the message from that seed of existence, that seed of expressive existence, calling you forward to express your authenticity. The message is about you have something to say. And you need to start experimenting with what that is. And usually you have a little bit of a clue. Like if something feels really good to do. Now, one of the things that I've done in my life is I sing and I play guitar. I used to be in a bunch of bands. They weren't famous. It was just for fun. And what felt really good to me, mostly as a singer, was to be able to just kind of open up and let this expression pour out. And I would get lost in this moment of of creative expression. I would be floating right in that moment. It's kind of like a timeless time, or the Greeks called it kairos time, where everything is kind of suspended and you're just here in the moment, right? And that felt so delicious to me. That felt so amazing that I wanted to do it more and more and more and more. Okay. And so I get that same feeling when I work with my psychology clients, when I work with my therapy patients. And I also get that same feeling when I'm working with coaching my genius coaching clients. Okay. Same thing here when I'm expressing this in this TV show. I don't know if you can tell. This is extremely important to me to get this message out that we have an expressive genius self that makes a difference when it's in the world. And it doesn't matter what you're doing. You don't have to be talking about genius. You don't have to be saving the world. You could be planting vegetables. You could be, making playgrounds for children. I'm just making stuff up here. It could be anything, and it needs to be anything. All it is what is it for you? What's in that seed of expression that you brought with you here? What is there? And so the whole point is, don't die with that seed ungestated or unexpressed. That's the whole point here. Because your expression of your genius, of your existential identity, your authenticity in that way, no one else can do it. I want you to think about that. No one else can express what you came here to express, right? Nobody else. This is your job, to be so you and leave it all out on the field by the time you pass away. Because everything is so interconnected here that expressing your authentic self literally paves the way for someone else to be doing the same thing. Okay? A lot of times you'll hear people who are, let's say, musicians, and when they tell you, let's say a famous musician, and they'll tell you their origin story, and one of the things that they'll say is, I saw somebody else doing that, and it just turned me on so much. It just made sense to me so much that I wanted to do that with my life. And you can hear this over and over and over and over again. And that goes from music and acting and agriculture and sports and everything. Okay? So you doing you being that authentic aspect of you is important to so many people that you will never even know that you touch their lives. Because when you're bringing through that authenticity, it's not just your little ego. This is coming straight from existence, right? This aspect, this color, this shape, this form, this texture of existence can only be expressed by you in particular, right? That's the seriousness with which I take this message, right? And so that's a lifestyle instead of just an idea. That's like, oh, okay, this is what I'm doing with my life, And so you'll find that you can bring this idea of expressing your authentic self out of the realm of, oh, that's a nice lofty idea. I've heard people say it before, spiritual mumbo jumbo. Oh yeah, live your authentic life, blah, blah, blah. But if you take it seriously, okay, you will find that is actually true, and that everything I'm saying here is possible. So why do this in the first place? Why have the motivation to do this? Why is this interesting? Why is this a thing? So one of the reasons is that if you look deep enough, you're going to find in you a need for a feeling of life purpose and a feeling of fulfillment. Okay? These feelings are part of our existential inheritance. They're the things that make us kind of move forward with the planting of our potential into a framework where that can grow further. Okay? Whatever that looks like. Right? And so, again, this TV show is one of the things that I've done. I have this message to share. I have this awareness to share with others. I know through my work and my practice how much it's benefited. Through my book sales, it benefits people. And so I created this space and had to learn all the crap about how to create a TV show, editing, blah, 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 all that, so that I could let this part of myself be expressed. So what about you? What have you created for yourself? What environment have you created to express your genius, to express your existential self, your existential inheritance, your authentic self? Because that's part of the issue is like, how do I create a space where that seed of my potential / seed of identity, of expressive self, how do I create a space for that to grow? Because when it does, you get to feel fulfilled, you get to feel purposeful, you get to feel engaged. It's a feeling that I'm doing what I need to be doing. Nothing is missing, in other words, right? Because if there's always something missing, you might think it's, oh, I need better health, or I need more money, or I need a person in my life that's different, or blah, blah, blah. But really, behind all of those things, it's a feeling of fulfillment. It's a feeling that I'm living all of my life, living my whole life and putting it all out there and being that authentic self. That's the feeling. Okay. So it all comes down to how does this actually feel to me when I'm doing it? How does it actually feel to bring out this authenticity? What's the difference between me being false and authentic? What's the difference in feeling, right? So all of this is about introspection, listening, deep listening, and using adequate tools to kind of make your way to that genius self, to recognize it for what it is, realize when you're expressing it, and then use that kind of space to continue. Okay? This is an offering. You being your authentic self is an offering to the rest of the world. Okay? And there's no ego about it. This isn't like, I'm the greatest thing and I'm offering myself. No. You have something to offer. You have a unique perspective. You have a unique identity that will touch only these particular people or things or, places. And that needs to be out there. Okay. So we're going to take a short commercial break. And next to that, we're going to do a guided visualization. And this is going to be about checking in with you to see when your genius or when your authentic aspect of yourself was seen. Because my point is that throughout your life, there have been certain miscellaneous times that you've hit on your genius or part of your authenticity. And I'm going to use this guided visualization to help you remember a few of those times so that you can use them as doorways going forward. Okay, I'll see you on the other side. Hey guys, I'm really excited to let you know that I'm finishing up my new course, the Genius Way Process course. This course is for anyone who wants to discover what's in their genius, their inborn gifts, their talents, and their callings. In this course, I'm going to provide you with the 10 life skills that we all need to access our individual genius and to make it a part of our everyday life. If you'd like to know more about the Genius Way Process course and when it's available, go to thegeniusway.com and sign up to get notified. I can't wait to share this with you. close your eyes and take a deep breath in, and then deeply exhale. Imagine that you're sitting in a private cabin on a passenger train. As you look out the window of this moving train, you realize that instead of seeing scenery passing by, you're actually looking at scenes from your life appearing and then disappearing. A train conductor enters your cabin and informs you that you're on the Genius train and that there will be 3 stops during your trip that will show you different times in your life where you had somehow expressed some of your authentic genius qualities. As the train slows down for the first stop, you look out the window and see a scene from your childhood where you were expressing something that was unique to you. Take a few moments now to notice what your child self is doing or expressing. As the train resumes its journey, reflect on this part of your life and what has happened to that expressive part of yourself. Now the train comes to a full stop at the second life scene where you're expressing your genius. What do you notice about this scene, and what is it that you're expressing from your genius? The train continues down the track for a few minutes, and you compare these first 2 scenes from your life and the authenticity that they represent. Finally, the train comes to the 3rd stop, showing you the 3rd scene of your life where your genius is being expressed. Spend a little time noticing what is significant about this 3rd scene and what you're expressing. As the train begins moving again, you find that it has returned to its original starting point. you exit the train with the full impact of these 3 life scenes that you've just witnessed and remembered. What feels important about all 3 of these scenes? What have you learned about your genius? How can you express this aspect of your authentic self in your present life? And now, with this experience fully intact in your awareness, and when you're ready, open your eyes and come back into this room. So one thing that's important to remember when we're talking about our authenticity and our genius gifts and our existential DNA, when we express that aspect of ourselves, when we get there, and the seed is germinating and it's kind of growing into whatever it's growing into, whatever kind of, potential is being kind of unfolded from the seed. It's important to remember that we don't become like robots, like we're supposed to be an organic farmer and that's all we can be. And it's like robotic. It's not about that. What it is more creative. It becomes like, let's say you are going to be an organic farmer. You will be the organic farmer that you are, that no one else can be, right? So I don't know if you guys ever watch I don't know if it's on TikTok or YouTube, but there's this really great dog named Dexter, and Dexter, since birth, he had some kind of problem and had one of his limbs, his front legs, amputated. And since Dexter was a puppy, he walks on 2 legs. And so you see him, like walking down the street with his leash and collar on 2 legs. And he's not a little dog either, but he's just learned to do that. That's how this dog responded to that experience. And so when you bring out your existential DNA, when you bring out, the things that are unique to you and authentic to you, that authentic self, it's not robotic. It's like, how are you going to creatively respond to this situation? How are you going to, be that individual that does the same thing that everybody else is doing in a certain way? And again, you don't have to contrive it. It just happens. If you listen to your authenticity, just like Dexter did, other dogs deal with that in a different way. Most of them walk on 3 legs, or they don't walk at all, or something like that. Dexter's like, well, I guess I'll walk on 2. That's what Dexter figured out. So how did he do that? How did Dexter figure out how to walk on 2 legs? Why is he the one that walks on 2 legs? Well, there's no literal explanation for that other than that's what uniquely happens for him. And for you, as you're expressing your genius, something is going to uniquely happen for you as well. For every one of us. It's going to be unique. It'll be you basically co-creating your life with existence, right? And that's what happens when we bring out our authentic self. We don't become something that's pre-programmed. The only thing that's pre-programmed in us is our potential to lean a certain way. Okay? The rest is like, okay, go use your creativity. Do this in the way that no one else does it because it's coming through you. You don't have to compare yourself. There is no comparison. There's just, how do you express yourself in your unique way? And when you kind of just unfold that expression from your genius, from your authentic self, you'll see how amazing it feels. And you'll know this is just right, just the way it is. This is perfect just for me. I'm doing my job. I'm doing the job that no one else can do ever again. Okay? That's what's important about this. And again, we don't get to know who we touch, how we affect the world. Maybe sometimes we get to know that, but the feeling of being able to express what's in your marrow, in your expressive existential genius marrow, your authentic self, the feeling that comes from that is so rewarding and so fulfilling that you're going to want to do it more and more, and you're going to want to be even more clear with what is authentically in you, right? So hopefully this makes sense. And I can't tell you how important this message is to me, and for me hearing it from others, it's just a very powerful message. And I hope you get a lot out of this. All right, we're going to take a short commercial break. And after that, I'm going to send you on your way with some words of inspiration.
Ben Hummell's writing comes from a deep well of experience, practice, and wisdom. The Genius Way teaches you the life skills you need to find your own unique genius. Summoning Genius helps readers to turn a midlife crisis into an opportunity for personal growth. You can find Ben's books on thegeniusway.com, Amazon, and most online booksellers.
There is an authentic you, and that authenticity is an inheritance from none other than existence itself. But as an individual, your authenticity has a particular flavor, shape, and tone that's completely unique. One task of this life for all of us is locating and then expressing that uniqueness, and then taking it a step further, which means that expressing our authenticity is actually our primary job. We literally have a task that no one else can fulfill ever. And that is to be the intrinsic self that's imprinted in our genius DNA, and to express it outwardly in the world. There is nothing that compares to the feeling of fulfillment and purpose that comes from being and expressing our authentic genius self. Hey, that's the end of our show. Hope you guys found something really good to work on, something that opened your eyes a little bit, and something to chew on until our next show next week. And so I enjoyed spending this time with you. And as usual, I'm going to give you a journal prompt to work on. And here it is, your self-inquiry journal prompt for this week. What did it feel like the last time you expressed an aspect of your authentic genius self? Okay, what did it feel like the last time you expressed an aspect of your authentic genius self? All right. Well, thanks for visiting, and I'll see you guys next week. And until then, stay curious, be kind to yourself, and remember that your genius has something to say.
Thanks for watching The Genius Way Show with Ben Hummell. Make sure to visit thegeniusway.com for the resources you need to help you on your personal life journey. You can contact Ben at ben@thegeniusway.com. And you can follow The Genius Way with Ben Hummell on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks for streaming The Genius Way Show with Ben Hummell.